What's up, guys? You already know who it is, but today I'm going to be making another tips video for you guys, and basically going to be looking at my top 5 tips to basically improve your fighting mechanics or your team fighting ability in Apex Legends. So if you guys enjoy these types of videos, feel free to just stick around and soak up the knowledge. My first tip for you guys would basically just be to know your surroundings at all times. So basically what I mean by this is you want to be able to know how and where you can break line of sight of being shot at literally at all times on wherever you're standing on the map. So to basically break down this clip for you, like the start, me and my teammate are standing on the stairs right here. We can really only get shot at by a few angles if someone wide swings right over on this side, or if someone peeks us on the roof. So we end up doing a good amount of damage on this guy, as you can, well, the clip didn't get it, but basically I throw this bubble to break line of sight so we can move up and not get shot at from here or from the roof to get up to this, and basically just try to get as close to as we can and close the gap. So as this goes on, I ended up seeing this guy too late. Yeah, I ended up taking some unnecessary damage, but it ends up working out in the end. So we basically get into the house right up onto this other team. As this plays out, somebody ends up peeking us behind us. We basically just have to take the fight at that point. We end up getting the knock. So then it's a 2v2 scenario here. We know one of them was already on the roof, and one of them we cracked earlier and is sitting on the outside of this building. So as this clip plays out, one from behind the building ends up pushing up to me, and I end up getting a knock. And once I get the knock there, I see that he didn't have his third teammate with him, so I figured that the third teammate is ending up pushing behind me, which he ends up doing, so this play ends up working out. But I basically just know that if I walk out of this building, there's only one guy left on this team, so I'm breaking line of sight with the only guy left, prolonging my life, because I'm literally 1 HP. So I break line of sight, my full HP teammate ends up taking aggro on this guy right here, and then it's simply just a 1v2. We end up winning fight pretty easily. Alright, my next tip would be to always know an angle that you can help your teammates from, and basically just set up a plan so your teammate knows that you're ready to help him if he ends up getting into trouble. So that's basically what's going on in this clip. So it's the last 2 squads. It's just a rank game. It's not really competitive again. Well, some people think rank's competitive. I don't, personally. But basically, we're just setting up a plan like, hey, if you get pushed, I'm going to throw you a bubble right here so you can fall back and obviously not get knocked. Then we're setting up like, hey, I'm going to get my ult to try to force bubble so we can move up onto them, because we're going to have a height advantage over them and try to clean up this last team. So once we do that, they end up actually starting to try to push him. So I call out that he threw his bubble over here. They haven't crossed yet. But basically, right when that happens, I just throw mine to counter it, and so he can fall back right there. But while this all is happening, our third teammate is getting an off angle on the side of them, and he's letting us know, hey, just wait for the bubble to drop. I'm going to be able to just get a free knock pretty much. So we just walk back here. We don't really do too much other than make them look at us. He ends up getting a free knock from the side because they didn't know he was there. And then at this point, it's pretty textbook, pretty easy. All we do is just keep using our angles to apply pressure, keep pushing, and end up cleaning up the last squad for the dub. Really as simple as that. Alright, this next tip is pretty standard. It's basically try to make all your engagements, well, your solo engagements, 1v1s, and basically all you're doing in this is cutting off an angle so the enemy's teammates can't really shoot you while you're fighting their teammate. I mean, it sounds simple. A lot of people just don't do it, I feel like, or a lot of newer people or lower skilled people aren't really utilizing it. Basically, as you can see this, we're fighting off drop. Both of my teammates end up dying. We're in a 1v3. So I'm just playing on this side of the pill, trying to do as much damage as I can as they push up. We end up getting 2 cracked. I have a free armor swap right here that we get. And basically, we're just using our cover on this pill the entire time. Pat jumps over me, we get a free knock on him. Probably shouldn't have done that. But at this point, once the Bloodhound slides behind me, I climb up to kind of just throw off their aim a little bit. And what you're going to see is that I drop directly right back down where I was at. Basically just cutting off the angle of his teammate way back here. End up getting 2 knocks, and then at this point, it's literally just a 1v1. This guy runs up in the open with no cover, and we end up just clutching it out. Alright, my next tip is basically when healing isn't an option, that you let your teammate knows that he has to lead a fight or be the first one to engage in a fight. And really when healing's not going to be an option is if a team is pushing and they're so close to you that you literally cannot heal, or you don't have meds, or the ring's pushing you in. But you just got to let your teammate know that when we're in this fight, you are the one that's got to draw the aggro at first. You got to be the one to first peek, you know? Or else you're going to end up getting knocked. Like right when you peek, they're going to shoot you once and you're going to get knocked. So basically this is an end game in a scrim right here. They end up patting on us. We missed some crucial hemlock shots. We probably should have knocked that Gibby in the sky, but it's alright. We end up getting a free knock on the Octane here. We all turn, look at the Bloodhound. Bane didn't let me know I should have peeked for him. He was 1 HP, but basically we're in a 2v2 now at this scenario. I'm like 40 HP, and I look at Scurry's health, and he's literally like full HP. He didn't even get touched in this fight. So basically you hear me saying like, hey, you just got to peek him. You got to be the one to shoot at him first. He does that. Gibby ends up doing the same thing right to me here, and it's the same exact comm. Just I back up, tell him, hey, you got to peek him. Basically, him drawing aggro keeps me alive in the fight the entire time, so if they went and turned and looked at Scurry, I could still do damage and not get knocked right away, or, well, yeah, that's basically it, to be honest. You just gotta let your teammate know, because sometimes they're not really thinking of that in the fight. Alright, my fifth and final tip for you guys is basically to use your cover when you're advancing onto a team. Don't just kind of full send, run right in the open at them. Sometimes that's the right play, to be honest. Most of the time, you're going to want to use cover instead of literally running right at them. And this clip kind of basically shows that. It's kind of a subtle thing, and I'll tell you when it happens, but doing it could be the difference from taking 130 free damage for, say, between taking none. But we end up getting a knock right here. Obviously, you're going to push on the knock, so you see basically one of them posture up right here. You'll end up seeing that in my Bloodhound ult. Basically, once we start sliding up here, you see that I jump to this rather than just pushing straight down, because if he were to swing out from that head glitch, I would basically take a lot of damage. I could end up getting knocked, and that's how they could end up swinging the fight. But by doing this, we're just closing the gap without giving them an angle to peek us. We end up getting another crack, and then at that point, they have one knocked. We have one guy at 100 HP. We're just kind of full sending. I try to get a little cheeky angle. It doesn't work, but we end up cleaning up the fight regardless. But basically, all that tip is doing is not letting them swing the fight. By you sliding from cover to cover to advance on them, you're just not giving them any free damage or any ability to swing the fight in their favor. So it's just a little bit safer of a way to clean up fights. Alright, and that's the end of my fighting tips video, guys. So for those of you who stuck around all the way to the end, I hope you guys potentially learned something and improve the way that you guys go into fights in Apex. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, a like is always appreciated. And you know what? Feel free to leave a comment below on like a topic that you guys would like me to cover next, because actually the topic for this video came from a comment in our last tips video, so shout out to you guys for my name's